Door-to-Door Con is right around the corner with Mastermind Day January 16th in Salt Lake City, Utah with Tim Grover, author of Relentless, and Michael Jordan's coach. You also have Marquee, former NBA All-Star. January 17th and 18th at the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City, Utah, you have Ed Mylett, Coach Burt, Tim Grover, and many more famous speakers and workshops on how to improve your leadership, sales, and recruiting. Register today, dddcon.com. For DDDU users, we have a DDDU after party Friday night. Don't miss out. Pre-register at doortodoorcon.com. Hey everybody, this is Sam Taggart, the DDD Podcast, and I have Ed Mylett on the show. And we're here in, I guess it's Laguna Beach, right?
You guessed correct.
And if you hear waves in the background, we're all muted, it's because of this terrible setting. Let's be honest. I'm like, if we could have picked a better place, we should have done it in some way.
Next time I'll try to bring you to a nicer house.
Yeah, let's bring you to a better place.
They're catching the lobsters out there. I was just telling you. I'm watching the traps out there. They're doing the lobster catch. I don't know how I feel about that, but it is pretty to look at nonetheless.
It's beautiful, by the way. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Pleasure, man. Thanks for being here.
It's fun. We've just been jamming for like an hour about just life. This has been good.
It's been awesome.
So you're coming to Door-to-Door Con January. Excited about that?
I'm super fired up about it because I believe so much in doing that and the whole model. So yeah, super excited.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people don't know that your background was knocking doors. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You probably built a lot of your business through School of Hard Knocks and going out and grinding. And
I did a lot of, so obviously my initial business that I started, that was the first one I built, was sort of predicated on recruiting. And because I was young and I didn't have a natural super huge warm market, I started to think, well, why don't I just go to the market? And so that market was door to door, going to homes. So I don't know how many doors in my life that I've knocked, but it's thousands.
That's awesome.
And it was the most direct way to get to the market, to get business or people recruited. So yeah, I've done it a ton.
And that's one of the reasons I'm excited to have you speak at Door-to-Door Con. So,
thanks, man. I'm really excited to be there.
And so if you haven't got your ticket, January 16th through the 18th, dddcon.com.
Yep.
And we're have Tim Grover, you, Coach Burt, a lot of the speakers that are going to be there.
Both those guys are good friends of mine. They're excellent speakers, but they're also going to teach you some stuff that you won't forget also. So they're great guys.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Okay, so author of Max Out.
I am.
Podcast of Max Out Life. And you run the Syndicate. It's a mastermind group. You do, obviously... You were world financial, is it president of?
No, I built a big business there, and then I was the agency chairman. And then I've sort of stepped away from that now, and I'm back building a bunch of my other businesses. I'm also, I guess you'd say, I'm in the field in WFG still as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I want to really dive into is, like you said, you built your business on recruiting.
Yeah.
And in Door-to-Door, there's 3 ways to make money in this. It's sales, recruit, and lead. And those are kind of the 3 pillars that we teach. And so I want to kind of dive into those categories and things and lessons that you've learned over the years of really how you've built, I guess how many people do you have in your downline? Or like what?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. When I was, I don't know. Thousands. Thousands. I don't know if it's 10, 20, 30,000 any given time, but thousands are in my team.
And I think a lot of people in Door-to-Door, their goal, like I work with a lot of little roofing companies or little solar companies or little pest companies, and they're like, if I could just get 10 guys, I'm like, dude, you know what I mean? You can do it. It's just it's what's the principles it takes to go recruit big teams and to manage those teams and motivate them, because most of those guys are probably paid based on commission too. You know what I mean? It's them.
Oh, I'm sure in that model and all of commission in my model.
In your model, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's if you go and recruit people and make an override on them, or if you go sell and get paid on deals, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So if there's anyone that's listening, there's probably very few people that would be more fit and resonate with our message than an Ed Mylett.
Thank you, bro.
What I mean?
I appreciate that.
And I think that I'm honored to obviously be here and have you at the event and super excited to kind of build this relationship. So this will be fun.
Yeah, I like you. I know we've been talking off camera. I mean, I'm glad to come to the event and be with everybody, but I'm really excited to get to know you better too. So
love it. Thanks,
man. You're a unique guy. So I think we'll be friends for a long time.
I'm a quirky kid. I always tell people my mom dropped me on as I was a kid, and I hit my head hard.
Very obvious.
Yeah, and I was like, I grew up and want to be a professional door knocker. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, you're like baseball, baby. Then you got your shoulder. I'm like, door to door, baby. Like I'm doing it.
Yeah, most people. It's funny in life too. Your dream or the way you get wealthy. Actually, a lot of the wonderful things in your life. I say this all the time. Don't usually show up looking the way you thought they'd look. Like, even who marry, we're in love with our spouses, but they may not be the actual person we pictured when we were 11 years old or something, I
always thought I was a blonde guy.
Yeah, is that right?
no, sorry, keep going.
No, I think so too. So my wife became a blonde, so you can do that too. but even like in business, I always wanted to be successful or wealthy or a person of influence, but it didn't all show up looking the way I thought. Like if you'd have told me, I used to think when I was knocking doors, even me in the beginning, I'd think like really successful guys wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the real entrepreneurs, they're super sophisticated thinkers and strategists, and they're in boardrooms with these, marble suits counters and suits and tables. And then the more I started to become successful, I'm like, actually, no. The actual really successful people that like actually make big money, grind, and do all the things most people would be unwilling to do, they end up doing those things, and then they get a life that most people will never have. So it's your willingness to do the ugly things that most people think are ugly that actually create beautiful lives.
Do you know how many people come to me and the motto or the whole saying has always been in door to door? It's like, I'm going to do this hard for 3 to 5 years and then get a real job.
Yeah.
And that's really what started this movement was like, what do you mean? You're in a real job. Yeah. The people winning are the people that are like what you just said. It's that 99% aren't willing to do what those 1% are, and those 1% are willing to knock doors and grind their face off.
Yeah, I wanted to be successful more than just look successful. And so most of my friends that are really, really wealthy, like legitimately, not the ones you see on Instagram who pretend to be wealthy, but the actual ones who are actually really wealthy, they do things every single day that most people think unsuccessful people do or that successful people wouldn't do. I was telling you off camera, one of my really good friends is an arborist.
That's awesome.
He cuts trees down, right? That's what he does for a living. And, I don't know what your average arborist makes, but it's not what my buddy makes. My buddy makes multiple 7 figures doing that, and he does it because he sells door to door. And he's built a business selling door to door. So he took a product that most people would think you just sell it and you move on, you run an ad in a newspaper, people go, I need my tree cut down.
Yeah.
He flipped the script and put a door to door model on cutting trees down and is making 7 figures. He makes more than the average CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and he's out in khakis and he's got, cuts all over him for cutting trees down, and no one would know it, but he's walking away with $150,000 a month.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
And I think that's like where our industry is a sleeper. You know what I mean? It's you get these guys that are grinding and maybe not super flashy, and they're willing to go knock doors and sling a roof or solar or pest control and kill bugs.
Yep.
But it's like they're pulling a $500,000, $2 million, and it's like for them to just take pride, and that's why I wore my shirt. I mean, I gave everybody in the audience, this was the first shirt for the first year at DDDCon, and just saying, why don't you wear it with pride and be like, what do you do for work? I knock doors.
Yeah. And one of my buddies, Edwin Ariabe, that we were talking about off camera, I love the fact that he's just proud of that model. He's proud about it. And the other thing that most people don't realize is if you're in door to door, here's something you're probably doing that's really super cool, is that you probably market something everybody needs.
100%.
Everybody needs it. And so there's nobility in that just in and of itself. That the fact that your model works at someone's door means humans on the other side of that door need what you have. What a wonderful thing to do for a living. And it's just bizarre that somehow the world sort of... Actually, it's cool. It's kind of cool that the world doesn't look at it that way just yet, because it gives all of us that are in those industries this huge window to walk through where no one else is willing to walk through that window or door, so to speak.
Yes.
That's huge.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to dive in. I got some questions.
All right, cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
So really serious questions, then we'll go fun. So first serious question, when was the last time you beat Max in golf? Like, serious question.
Yeah.
That's
a good question.
I just know that you like
because I loved when I used to beat my son. It's probably been 3 years since I've beaten him in golf, and now it's even worse. I used to go, well, you beat me, but I could hit it past you, once around, because mine going to the houses. And now even when I just lay into one and pound it, he's still 25, 30 yards by me. So yeah.
I was out drove yesterday by a kid with a 3-wood, and I hit it 310 yards. And I was like, you just hit your 3-wood.
Are you kidding me?
330. I was like,
whoa.
What are you doing?
How old's this kid?
He's my age.
That's awesome.
I was like mind blown. I'm like, I got beat by a 3-wood.
That's a lot of club head speed.
Killer drive.
That's emasculating.
Yeah, I'm like, that was just, okay, I'll go home. Here's my man card.
These are heavy questions.
So I'm curious. Let's go serious though, for real. So you didn't always have it easy. Obviously, you took the grind. You went and knocked. You it wasn't like, in your book you talked about you had the water bill shut off, and it was that grateful of just like once you finally got your water bill turned
off.
It's a fact,
yeah.
And I think a lot of people can resonate that because indirect sales and door to door, usually people fall into this because they're broke or the last job they could get, and they don't realize that there's so much opportunity in it.
Yeah.
And they go through these ups and downs of like, make a lot of money, lost all my money, made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're going through that, what were some things that you were kind of thinking or going through your head as you were kind of in those low of lows? Like,
yeah, by the way, really good point. Yeah, because it's not just the hard work you're doing, it's the inconsistency of the income that can come with it, right? And that did play with my mind a little bit. I got really good over a long period of time at, one, when I was making money, saving it for when the winter came. Because I knew inevitably, a lot of the guys that I would be competing against, they'd have their big months, they'd go spend it. Big dinner, new car, new shoes, my stuff. I'm like, I'm going to save this because I'm going to need the reserves when and if the down cycle comes. So that was one thing that I did. Eventually, after
so many people, I mean, I have a financial planner coming to speak, real estate experts coming to speak at Door Door Con because guys making killer money at a young age, they're just idiots.
Correct.
Plain simple.
That's right. And they want to show that they're making money.
Yeah.
I got 1 year, I'm really well known for saying this, but I had a year, I don't remember what year it was because it was a million years ago, but I made $700,000 that year, and I was living in a $700 a month apartment with a Honda CRX paid off.
I drove a Kia until a year ago.
It's awesome, man.
Like, it was just, like, I could care less.
Because, again, I want to be successful and be wealthy more than I want to look at. Second thing that I did is I really got clear in my life, and I've been good at this for a long time. I'm really clear on what I want. Like, I'm super hyper obsessive. Your obsessions become your possessions is one of the things I teach. Even young, man, I got really good at getting clear on where I was going. And so those goals and dreams and visions of where I wanted to go, honestly, even like where we are right now, like I pictured this place. I put the picture of my future in front of me so often that my current conditions, frankly, didn't distract me all that often. The other big element for me is I'm a psycho competitor. And so I was competing so hard every month to get to the top of whatever board I was competing on that it was a distraction from my current crap. I was so caught up in competition.
It's like, as long as I'm number one,
yes,
I'm okay because I'll probably make money.
Isn't it bizarre? I just figure, like, if I just keep winning, eventually there'll be money. If I just keep competing, eventually there'll be money.
Huge nugget.
Yeah, and I'm actually, to this day, I still foster it in all the different companies I own, because here's the truth. On your way to becoming successful, on your way to becoming wealthy, is a state of suffering. Now, Goggins talks about enjoying the suffering and all that. I have a big thing where I talk about this. I negotiated the price I was willing to pay in advance. What most people are doing that are in any type of selling is, as they're going, they're still negotiating the price. They're like, I don't know if it's worth it.
when I'm going to get it.
Is it worth it? I don't know if it's worth it. Oh my gosh, what I'm going through. Oh, my wife thinks this. My dad thinks that. And they're constantly, I don't know if it's worth it. Okay, it's worth it today. Oh, I don't know. And they're negotiating all the time. Do I want to keep going? I just got to a point where I'm like, I negotiated it. As long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'm paying the effing price until I win. And so when I was then in the suffering stage, I'm like, I already negotiated this in my mind.
Yeah.
Whereas most people on the bad days, the bad months, they spend half to 80% of the time in this internal dialogue with themselves. Like, I don't know if I'm cut out for it. Maybe I'm done. Maybe it was a fluke when I was doing good. Maybe I just gotten lucky. Maybe this isn't for me anymore. I don't know if I want to go through this. I don't even know if I want to be successful this badly. Right? And so that's the distraction, is all this noise in your mind of constant negotiation of whether you should or you shouldn't, or if it's worth it. I just negotiated all that in advance. And so what most people do that are in selling is they focus on the price they're paying. The old thing, if you don't pay the price now, you'll pay it the rest of your life. Yeah. That's low level stuff. You gotta ask yourself, forget price, what's it worth? Because when I was broke, and I was a broke guy, when I go into a store, I didn't buy what I wanted. I'd flip price tags over. What's it worth? What's it worth? What's it worth? What's it worth, right? And so now I'm a big guy, it's not what it's costing me, is it worth it? My kids, my family, my future, living like this is worth whatever the price is I'm about to go pay.
Yeah.
So negotiate it now.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, kind of segueing off camera, you're talking about you're a social media guru right now. You've got multiple ventures and businesses. You're, I don't know how old you are, probably
48.
48,
Look 68.
No, dude, you've got better abs than me. Like, let's be so. No, but at what point were you balancing? Because we talked about family, right? And it's like, a lot of people think that they have to sacrifice. You look at guys that have made, hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's usually they're on their fourth or fifth marriage.
Yeah, I'm on my first.
Yeah. which is like, I'm like, you're on your first marriage, you have a good family, you can tell you have a good relationship with your kids.
Thank you.
Your wife, where did she play in factor of support or not support, or do you have to sell her on this? Because I think that's a problem that everyone deals with in our space, is because we get competitive. I mean, I was a top performer. I was in the 1% club. You know what I mean? And there was always this conflicting, like, I non-negotiated the price I need to pay, but it's also there's an enrollment of the family that we have to balance. So I guess tell us kind of what you do or hacks.
Well, the mistakes I made the biggest mistake I made was that I was telling you this off camera was there's no such thing as balance, particularly when you're a high achiever. At any given time, something's spiking.
Yeah, because you get uber competitive on the laser focus to win. And
I think this concept, this false premise that you have to have perfect balance, creates guilt in performers. I know for a fact there's not perfect balance. There's been seasons of my life where certain things are spiking at a given time. Here's what I'd tell you that I didn't do a good job of, that I switched. I'm just present wherever I am. So when I was at work, I was at work. I wasn't, feeling guilt that I was away from my family or guilt about that. And when I was with my family, I wasn't focused on work. I finally found a way to put my phone away when I walked in the house. I had too many experiences where my kids would walk in the room and they're like, Dad, 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 and I'm looking at my phone.
Yeah.
And what's that tell your child? Whatever in this little device is more important than them. So I started to negotiate little things, like little tip. I leave my phone in the car the first 30 minutes when I come home every day now, because I'm too tempted to touch it. So
you've got
first 30 minutes, Dad's home, what's going on, how was school, what's happening, fully engaged. And then I can go get my phone and I can kind of get back into a normal mode. So that was number one. You asked me what my wife did. Someone just asked me this in the meeting I had prior to you being here. My wife and I are very different. I believe that there can be two people very similar. My wife and I are different. And what I mean by that is I'm a real competitor. I'm an alpha. I want to achieve. I want to compete. I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to win.
I think our wives could be friends if I see where you're going with this.
And my wife is more like, can't we just be happy? Like, my wife's
like, let's live in a trailer.
That's my wife. My wife would be, if right now, people don't, I live right here on the ocean. It's one of the most beautiful properties on the planet. If I said, babe, we're selling everything and we're going to move into a cabin in the middle of nowhere, she'd be like, but are you going to be home all day? And I'm like, yep. She goes, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Right? So my wife does, none of that matters. Even to this day, as much abundance as we have, she doesn't have fancy clothes, or she's just not materialistic. And not that I'm materialistic, but I'm achieveristic.
Yes,
I want to keep winning and acquiring success. She didn't get that. So that was a little bit of a rub. But what did she give me? My wife didn't even always believe in my businesses. My wife has always believed in me. Always believed in me. And to the point where even when I'd achieve things, sometimes I'm like, aren't you excited, babe? And she's like, I knew you'd do it. Like there's this deep belief in me. And so if you're having a challenge at home, one of the things I would say to my spouse, if it's men or women that are having a hard time, go, do you believe in me? Do you believe in me? Because I think the foundation of any relationship isn't just trust and love, but belief.
Yes.
And one thing she's always given me, even when the water was turned off, even when we had no power or electricity, even when a car got repossessed, which all happened, underneath it all, I believe in you.
Love that.
Yeah, that's what my wife, and by the way,
I've never been able to explain that. So if my wife is watching this, better put than I've ever been able to.
So you have the same thing?
Oh, it's the same thing.
And that's where your confidence comes from. People go, why are you so confident? There's a lot of reasons, but one of them is my faith and all the things I do with my mind. But to be honest with you, man, when you got a spouse at home, a woman in most of our cases listen to this, that like believes in you. She may not love your company all the time. She may
not love your activity,
your behavior, how much time you're spending. But underneath, if you stripped it all away, she believes in me, man. That gave me confidence.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's I'd say the biggest thing.
So let's talk about confidence. Mm-hmm. You never were always this whole confident, extroverted, want to pull out the selfie. Guys, let me give you a motivational something. No. Like, what did you do to gain this confidence, or be more extroverted, or find your voice?
I'm certainly still introverted. To my detriment still. I need to still work on that. My confidence, I know where that came from. I really worked on myself, but the root of all self-confidence is self-trust. And I started to keep the promises I made to myself. Show me someone with high self-confidence, I'm going to show you somebody who has learned to keep the promises they make to themselves first. And so I built a reputation with me that I didn't have prior. Prior, I was a guy who's like, I'm going to go to the gym at 6 a.m. I'll go tomorrow at 6:30. Or I'm going to eat clean this week. Well, I'll have a hamburger for lunch this one time. Or I'm going to bang 30 doors today. I banged 24.
Yeah.
Right? So it was constantly breaking little promises to myself that I thought didn't matter, that were invisible, that no one else saw. But it was eroding my self-belief, my self-confidence. Once I started to go, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and I got up at 6 a.m. I'm going to make my bed. I make my bed. I'm going to knock 50 doors. I knock 54. I'm going to do 30 minutes of cardio. I do 32. I started to be a dude who not only kept the promises I made to myself.
I beat my own promise.
And over time, you got to do one more minute, one more this. And I have this big adage in my life of one more.
Is that kind of the max out? Like when you're maxing out, it's like you can't. You do past failure.
You do past failure. So if I'm supposed to do 8 reps in a set, I do 9. If I'm going to do 30 minutes, I've never done 30 minutes on a treadmill or 45. I've done 46, I've done 31, but I always do one more. I've never knocked a round number of doors or made a round number of calls. If I say I'm doing 30 today, I do 31. One more. So this started to change me to where, like, I didn't produce results right away, but I started to trust me. That's a powerful thing when you go, I trust me, right? That's self-confidence. Ego is something completely different. And then, of course, I've worked on all these things of visualization and belief in myself and writing my goals down and linking my emotions to them. Too much for today's show. But you asked me the root, I started keeping promises to me.
I love that. Because I think that's been the biggest struggle is you get these sales reps that are like, I don't know if I'm a natural sales guy. I'm not like that guy. Or I'm not the guy that goes out. I'm just the average rep. And you go, well, like, you're creating that.
Correct.
You created your average repness. Like, I know the goofiest cats that sell the most out of anybody, and it's like they didn't ever look like the natural guy.
You know who's also usually pretty weak, and that's what everyone should hear, where, like, you need to be accountable to somebody. You know what you need to be accountable to? You.
Yeah.
You know, like, why are they making me bang 30 doors today, or why 45? What is your standard? Long term, you got to have your own standard, man. And, like, I'm a super introvert. Sales is the worst career you'd think for a guy like me. Except, you know what introverts have? Typically, we're introverted because we listen well.
Yeah, and you're probably a lot more dialed on systematic and, you know what I mean, like process. It's a little bit more like, okay, let me think this thing through. Like, I've noticed that about you. Even like when you interview a podcast, it's like, I want to research them. Like you said, I'm going to read your book before I speak at the event.
I will.
You know what I mean? Because you want to know, like, you're like, okay, I'm doing it for me because that's my standard. I'm not going to go in there like winging it. Like,
because I am one, this is a bias. I think generally, if you're listening to this, you go, I'm kind of an introvert. So this is my own bias. It's probably not even true.
It's not.
I think introverts care about people more.
It really does.
So I think it makes you a better salesperson. I think people sense intent. And so I may not be like, hi, good morning, I'm Eddie Spaghetti. Maybe I didn't have that gift that some of the people listening to this have that are extroverted. But I did have the gift of, when I'd ask a question, I think they're like, he's listening to me.
Yeah.
He cares about me. This person's intentions are good. And so it's a matter of magnifying your own gifts in sales, not necessarily, I think you should always, I like scripting. I believe in duplication. But I don't think you should be duplicating personalities. Words is fine, but I became my own person, so I can't authentically transfer to you something that I'm not experiencing myself. Influence isn't like you believe everything I'm saying. That's not influence. Influence is I believe everything I'm saying, which is a huge difference.
Ooh, that is probably the best definition I've heard of influence.
Yeah, it is. But I don't know if it's the best, but it's true.
No, it's true. Now let's talk about how we influence in this business to go grow our businesses. You know what I mean? Now you've talked about, okay, owning your identity and finding confidence and things like that. I want to kind of segue this into building a team and recruiting and instilling confidence in others and how you kind of transition into that leadership. Because when you're leading thousands of people, I'm sure you had that influence even trickling down to the lowest man on the totem pole. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So first off, let's talk about how you enrolled people into your business. Because inevitably, that's the guys making the most money in this job, or guys that have downlines of 100, 200, 500,000 or whatever. Companies have been the guys that have been able to enroll and retain and inspire the sales armies that we build.
That's
you
right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's like, what are some principles that you found to be helpful in your business and building to really kind of build and maintain and inspire?
I'm going to talk in more detail at the event about this, but believe it or not, it's what my wife gave me. I'm a monster believer in instilling belief in people, that the people around you have this sense that you believe in them, and not false belief like, hey, you're a stud. I mean, like, really believe in them. How do you do that? You identify people's natural giftedness, whether it is their kind heart or their extrovertedness or their introvertedness, their math skills, their people skills, their humor, their good looks, their deep voice, their intuition, their intensity, their competitiveness, whatever it is. If you begin to really just take a minute and identify the gifts of the people that are on your team, and you tell them, I believe in you because, and then you point out to them the one or two things they intuitively believe. Like, if I were young and you said, let me tell you why I believe in you. You're a competitor, you're intense, and you're going to outwork everybody. You really made me feel like you believe in me because I know those three things are true about me, and it anchors it deep in me. Now I've got a real believer and a real follower. I've got a real leader that I have allegiance to. So that's a huge thing of identifying the gifts, and they're different in different people. So great leaders are great at going, you know what your gift is, man? That's why I believe in you so much. That's why you're going to win. That's why you're going to be great. Then they believe. That's different than going, you're going to do great. That's hollow. It's empty. It looks like you read it in a book and you're supposed to say it, and you're a motivator.
Super guilty
right?
of that.
Yeah,
It's super easy. I think the extrovert tends to come off that way, even if they unintentionally come off that. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
We were saying this introvert extrovert, it's almost like you have to intentionally say, no, like, say it like you mean it. Like,
you're right.
Like, look into their soul and actually deliver a true compliment instead of just say what you heard out of a book or a podcast.
You got it. And that compliment needs to be something they intuitively believe to be true.
Exactly.
So some guys, and by the way, I'll flip it on something like, I'm just quiet, I don't know. And I'm like, let me tell you one of the reasons you're going to win, man. That quiet thing about you, people trust that. That's why you're going to win. I'll link their gift to something. Second thing is this: when you're recruiting, I'll talk about it at the event, you recruit to an environment. You don't recruit to your company. You don't recruit to you. You don't recruit to the money. You recruit to an environment. Now, part of that environment may be you, the money, the product, and all that. But the mistake people make is they don't recruit to an environment or an experience. People have to feel something, not just think something. And weak recruiters are like, let me tell you about the money, right? Or let me tell you about the product. Both of those are critical in the recruiting process. But the overriding thing that people buy is the environment, is the experience. Am I going to have fun? Am I going to be competitive? Can I win? Will I grow? Will I contribute? Will I be significant? Right? Is there certainty? Like, if I do what you tell me I'm going to do, I'm going to get a result. Yes. All of this is an environment. So the lesson for leaders is, how good are you at transferring belief? And two, what kind of an environment have you created that cultivates new leaders, that cultivates excitement, that cultivates energy, that cultivates passion, that reduces fatigue, and that draws people to it? Because you can't always sustain it on the product or the comp. It's got to be more than that.
Love that. And I think that what happens is when, like, in our business, right, you recruit people to, like, the money, they'll then chase the money in the sense of
they'll chase it right out of your door.
Yeah, a company comes and says, I'll offer you $5 more. They'll say, that's more money on paper. And they were never attached to that environment that you're like, no. They don't have this environment. Therefore, you'll never leave because no one recreates this
experience, this environment. That's the number one mistake. So what happens is you think you're a good recruiter because you get a lot of people, but you don't keep them.
You don't keep them.
So really, you're a crappy recruiter leader.
Yeah.
So you do it all short term. It's all the cheap stuff. By the way, money is a major component of recruiting. It really is.
People need to know they're going to financially be in a good spot being there.
But people will rarely leave a leader who believes in them, combined with a great environment. Really hard to leave someone like that.
What are some things that you see in companies? You know, you're obviously consulting and working with a lot of business leaders, ran teams. What are some key pieces that make a quality environment that you're saying, okay, if I'm going to instill into an environment these key, qualities or pieces, what pieces have you seen being in winning environments?
Number one thing overall, monster, incredible, beautiful, wonderful, and repetitious recognition. So
you need to make an acronym of that.
Yeah.
MPDW.
Yeah, whatever that is, right. Like if all the companies I'm building, we are hyper recognition focused, hyper obsessed with recognition, finding ways to recognize people.
I call it, you make them addicted to the dopamine hit that comes from the recognition.
You got it. So that is the separator, and it's your ability to do it creatively. Here's the easy thing. By the way, I'm going to surprise you. If everything that you do recognition-wise is solely production and carrot-based, this is we do tons of recognition. I run a contest every month. Someone gets a ham sandwich. That's one way. What recognition do you do for doesn't involve production?
Yeah.
What recognition do you do that's a surprise? What do you do for them that's unexpected? That creates the environment that's different, right? The way in which you recognize somebody, vary it up. If you constantly do things the same way, your people's productivity will fall into patterns, and you'll find it not have the surges you once had because you're trying to use the same. So the mistakes I see with sales organizations, they keep looking back. How did we used to do it? What was that t-shirt thing we did? What about that contest? What about this? And it's not creative. Almost no effective business in the world goes, what did we do 5 years ago? What did we do 10 years ago? They're looking forward. They're innovative.
What's the new ways to give the dopamine hit?
And
What's the new ways to make them feel part of this environment, enrolled?
And I'm a big believer in creating core values for a company. And so most people don't take the time to do that. But what are the core values? That's part of your environment and your experience. These are the things we value. Like, do people know that? Do they carry it somewhere? We value whatever it is. We value the client experience. We value delivering. We value whatever. And then I recognize people, and I always link it to one of the values.
Oh, so I love how your work ethic's one. So it's like, I love how you showed work ethic in the scenario.
Or how you cared for a client, or whatever your values are, recognized to them. And they can't always just be performance-based.
Yeah.
Not always.
Because then it almost is that law of diminishing return. It's like, well, duh, like, I know next month there'll be another incentive if I sell more.
Right. Or so if I miss this month, I'll get next month.
Yeah, I'll just hit it up next month.
Right.
And I think that I also think that you want to make competition amongst inner, like, kind of, they care more about winning in the environment than in this friendly, competitive atmosphere, more so than the ham sandwich you're giving them.
Yeah.
It's like, great, you're going to throw the ham sandwich away, it's there, but I think if you can make it like a friendly competition where guys actually truly care to beat each other, but in a nice way.
Yep.
I think that's another.
I also like magnifier contests. I've been doing a lot of these in my businesses where what they do as a group, collectively,
so it makes
magnify. So like if I'll say something like, hey, if the group does 30, the number one guy gets X, but if the group does 50, the number one guy gets Y. And so then they're all pulling for each other and trying to win. So I do magnifier contests based on volume of the collective team. So they're competing against each other, but at the same time supporting one another if you're in an environment where that's possible. It may not be possible in some of your businesses.
Most of our businesses, yes.
Yeah, and so I put kickers on it. Environment does what team does well, the top people do better.
I love that.
Yeah,
I've never even seen that. So I have a business boot camp I run every month, and we teach competitions and incentive structures and ways to kind of implement these systems into people's businesses and core values.
Yeah.
So I love this because it's like what I get giddy on.
Yeah, and by the way, here's a real kicker. If you're in a business where you still actively can produce, which I am in mine and a couple of them, the real kickers we do is they hold me accountable to a number. So leave me personally. So like if I'll say, look, we do 50 of these this month, I'm making it up, it's a $5,000 bonus, but if I write 4 sales, it's a $7,000 bonus. They're like, dude, you need to get your act together this month. And we have a collective accountability in the group where I'm not like the boss.
You're showing lead from the front.
You got it. It forces me.
I call it the William Wallace effect. It's like you think of William Wallace, he's the one in the front going like, let's go.
Let's go.
Like,
exactly
let's
right.
go.
I might change the name to my William. That's good.
If he puts you got to put trademark Sam. Dope. He's awesome.
I'm actually going to use it. No, but I am. I'm not going to credit you. This is your credit right now.
All right. Love it. Can't count it. No, but no, I think that's it though. Like we just say, a lot of people, their business model is to say, how fast can I get out of the grit versus how fast can I show people that I am grit, therefore they should play grit too. And I think that
if your fantasy is how quickly you can stop producing or
sit
recruiting
on the throne and just let them,
just boss them around like you don't get it.
So that's the same in your business.
In every sales business.
So that is applicable. Just wait. I had to make sure that we caught that on camera. Man. It's the same in your world.
Every single business, man.
And
absolutely.
I think, and so many people, I try to say over and over and over again, they try to somehow play backwards. They say, oh, once I get 5 guys, that means I don't have to do anything.
You got it.
Just like, no!
It's not.
No! I was the number 2 performer and 100 sales guys below me in solar. You know what I mean? It's like, you've got to go show them you're willing to get in the trench.
I cannot agree with you more.
Okay, I love it. I just was validated on live, whatever this is, podcasting. So we're running out of time.
Whatever this is.
Whatever this is. We're in the moment, okay? We're in the moment, Ed. Live it up. Max out. Come on, max out your life.
I'm super maxed
He's
out.
maxed out. Okay, so I know you've got an exotic car or something delivered here in a minute, so I want to be conscious of your time.
It's not an exotic car, but it's a car.
Dude, a Cooper?
Yeah.
Come on. That is, in my world, that's Let's be real. I'm from Utah, dude. That's like, whoa.
Dude,
You're trying to impress the neighbor, aren't you? Keeping up with the Joneses.
I'll keep you out of my garage.
Last time I was in LA, I drove 3 Lambos in the same day. I never need to come out here again. It's terrible. Okay, so anyway, last couple questions.
Okay.
First off, what would you want me to ask you? That's my last question. Like, what do people not ask you that you're like, why aren't you asking me this, you idiot?
Well, I don't think you're an idiot. I think you're brilliant.
Okay, cool. At least
I would want to know if this is worth it. You know, like, I think not enough people ask me, like, it looks good, but is it really worth it? Like, you know,
yeah,
getting
what if you
there.
gone the $10 million net worth and played the live in the cabin?
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, it's worth it. Like, as good as I thought it would be to make my dreams come true, and then more and more and more, it's a million times better than I thought, for reasons I didn't think.
It would, yeah, you dress it up this way, but it ends up...
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that shows up in life differently. But yeah, like, I'm kind of beginning to be proud of who I'm becoming. Through having to work this hard.
Do you think it's worth it because of the recent turn of, like, you know, only a couple years ago you started to say, I'm going to try to make an impact, not for the money. Do you think that helped, or is that not even, like,
It's a big factor. Okay. I spent the first half of my life building my own life, and I kind of feel like I want to spend I am. I've spent the second half of my life helping other people build theirs, because I know how worth it is to become somebody you're proud of. I know how worth it is to see what you're capable of, if you're a person of faith, to honor God with the difference you make in the world. And for most of us, that difference is going to show up the most in our business life. It's where we're going to spend the most time. And so it's worth it in ways like, I love being wealthy for sure, like having a jet or multiple homes and all that. Like, I love it. I think you should all go have those things. But when you get
Wait, guys, pause. We should all go have jets. He just said that. I love that.
When you can afford them, when you can write checks for them.
Yeah,
only when you can pay
cash for this, guys.
That's right. So that's an important thing, too, that people know.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to debt if it was an appreciating asset, but all the homes you see on my videos, my jet, my cars, my boats, I own them all cash.
Which is baller.
Yeah, there's no debt. But it's been worth it in ways I didn't imagine. So just the way your children look at you, the things you can do for your own family, your own self-worth, the growth you have. To be honest with you, this is going to sound super weird. I've never said this before, I don't think, but some of the successes I've had has strengthened faith. It's almost a validation, like there has to be a Father in heaven. And the reason I say that, not to be preachy, is I'm not this good.
I couldn't have done it alone.
There's no way, bro. There's no way. So I'm not suggesting that you have to have an oceanfront house to have strong faith. My gosh, of course I'm not saying that. No. I'm telling you that this level of success is only strengthened by faith.
You know what's interesting, though, is I would say, and this is Sam's opinion, is I think it's easier the more successful you get to become more proudful of that success and say, oh, it's because of me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of successful people fall into the trap, so I admire you for just saying, look, without God, this wouldn't have happened.
No chance, bro.
And how you've let it gear you to become stronger in the faith, where I think a lot of people, it gears them to go and be like, who needs God? I've got all this stuff.
The Lord's been pretty good with me. If I ever do get that way, He kind of makes sure I wake up pretty quick, like there's some huge failures.
He will compel you to be humble.
That's right.
Yes. My wife sometimes prays. She goes, I hope God compels you to be humble. Like, oh, damn.
Yeah, but for real, you're exactly right about that. Actually, ironically, I think I had a bigger ego when I was broke, because I'm so grateful, humbled by a lot of the things. It doesn't mean I don't struggle with my ego. Believe me, I do. And people that are close to me keep an eye on that for me. But my faith has only been strengthened because there's just no way this dope right here has produced all this in his life. It's got to be God's favor. And it's got to be, hopefully you honor Him as you move further through life so that people know the truth.
And you could be an instrument in His hands.
Yeah.
Like, I look at it like, I was pissed Mitt Romney didn't become president, to be honest, because I'm like, dude, he just was an instrument. He's been, you know what I mean? Like, I look at it and like, man, he has a good faith, or you have faith that it's like, I just want to do good. And the fact that you're saying that second half of my life, I hope to...
Yeah, the other thing Governor Romney had, well, now Senator Romney, but was an unbelievable capability and preparation to be in that role.
Yeah.
You know, he was. I was a big fan of his as well. So.
Yeah, and I don't mean to get political, but I'm just saying, like, God uses certain people and lets them be successful because He can trust them to hopefully do His good. Mm-hmm. And I'm a firm believer of that. And sometimes I wake up and go, man, what did I do? You know, and I'm following in your footsteps.
No, that's the hard part too, because you know what a screw up you are, right? I know that I screw up every day, so it's an awkward thing. I certainly want to put myself out there as a perfect example because I'm a sinner, saved by the grace of God in my faith. So trust me, believe me, I'm hesitant to ever say you should look at me, but I am really confident saying you should look at Him. Yeah. So
that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Best way. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I honestly I actually am glad we jammed on that at the end. Like,
good, brother.
Like, I think a lot of times people are nervous to bring that up. You know what I mean? Or I don't want to step on anyone's toes or offend anyone. I'm like, nah, dude. Like, if you don't believe whatever you want to believe, just believe in something. In my opinion,
I agree with you.
And I love how you're first start trusting yourself and then trusting that something, whether that's God or whatever. And saying you can do it as a collective, and also the people around you, like you said, environments. Trust yourself, trust God, and then trust the environment that you're in.
And for me, I think it's important, just so you know, in sequence, it's God first, and then trust me.
Yeah, that's what that. Yeah.
Just so we're clear on that. Like my faith is, my life's in God's hands, but I also, believe in all the parables of the sower, and I believe I've still got to plant seeds. He's going to provide a harvest, but I'm responsible for planting these seeds.
That's what we call the doors, baby.
Right, exactly.
No, I'm writing a book right now. It's called The Achievement Formula. I was going to call it the knock theory because it's kind of it's all around the scripture, Matthew 7:7. So it's ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, and knock and it shall be open. And I think there's a reason why God used this whole knock.
That's fascinating.
You see what I mean? Yeah. So I'm playing this. It's my next book. It's pretty dope.
Ooh, I like that. It's dope.
And that's what I speak a lot on. And it's so it's called the achievement formula, but it's God literally says, go knock. Whatever door that is, or whatever that you're afraid to knock, there's a fear of this rejection or what's behind the door or whatever. And my phrase I always told people was everything you need is behind a door.
So true.
Everything you need.
Can I tell you one thing to finish on that? It'll be a perfect finish. People have asked me on my show, what's the number one trait between these achievers? So I've had NFL football players on, business people, fighters, politicians, actors, singers. What do they have in common? It's their willingness to go through that door into a room that they think they may not be prepared for. And the people that lose in life or that are average are constantly waiting around for some level of preparation before they're willing to knock and go through the door.
Yes.
The winners are willing to step into that room, maybe not completely prepared, and they'll figure it out when they get there.
Figure this out.
That's the difference.
Amen. It's perfect imperfect actions better than perfect inaction. I just had this fight with my wife. I helped her start this baby clothing company. So if you have little kids, I'll hit you up. And anyway, I was just she's but the videographer's not as good as I want. I'm but just make a video. We need ads. It doesn't matter. Let's go.
That's right.
And I think that it's a lot of people ask me that question, and a lot of people are like, man, how are you doing it? I have 7 businesses, and it's they're like, how do you manage all your time and this? And I'm I don't care if I have a typo in my post. Make fun of me, dude. I could care less. I just posted though. Yep. I'd said this. I made a video.
It's okay if you stutter or stammer. It doesn't matter. Put it out.
I didn't script it perfectly. I had the bullet points. Great.
Right.
I did the video though.
Totally agree with you.
And I think that that's just such a principle in life. It's just ask, have faith that you're worthy and you're asking and you know your intention, seek, have the path, and then go knock it. Let's go.
Amen.
Okay, so excited to have you out in January. So if you haven't got your tickets, guys,
get some tickets. Let's roll. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be good. And obviously, it's been fun to hear your knock side of you more than, because you don't bring that out on your social as much. Because I think a lot of people, it's they say door to door and the world goes, what? What? And we have to dance around that.
I'm glad we were asked about it. I'm proud of it.
I'm proud of it. Let's go.
Me too.
Okay, thanks, man.
Love you, brother.
Appreciate it.